Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Let's get after it.
This week, the relative humidity in China hit a staggering 100%. And honestly, I've never seen anything like it. Videos are coming out of people showing their walls and ceilings absolutely drenched, while others had to use window scrapers and even hair dryers to try and remove the condensation. Some people even had to sleep with umbrellas because even if you scrape off the water, it soon comes right back and starts dripping on you while you sleep. The red paint on the Lunar New Year's posters were completely soaked and started dripping, making the walls and floor look like a freaking crime scene. People couldn't get in their homes because the doors that use fingerprint recognition stopped working, and it was even turning bags of chips back into mashed potato. And what's crazy is that this kind of weather usually occurs later in the year when it gets warmer, but it's only March, and with the 100% humidity, it hit a sweltering 30 degrees Celsius, with residents saying that it's the worst they've experienced in decades. And this comes as February became the hottest month globally on record, marking the 9th month in a row that global heat records have been smashed.
Man, it just seems like China is just left and right getting battered with the worst imaginable stuff. I don't see how everything in that city is not just absolutely covered in black mold. Yeah, that's horrible. I can't imagine the humidity being that thick that you're wiping down the ceiling and stuff and it's just pouring off like it's like there's a upstairs apartment with the water faucet overflowing or something.
Let's do a quick recap of all the media suppression this week. First, we have the leaked audio saying that we have a TikTok problem and we need to do something fast because the younger generations aren't falling for the is not real propaganda.
The issue in the United States Department of Israel is not left and right. It is young and old. And the numbers of young people who think the Hamas's massacre was justified is shockingly and terrifyingly high. And so we really have a TikTok problem, a Gen Z problem.
Next, we have the Boeing whistleblower who definitely did not have self-inflicted wounds.
Burnett's body was discovered in his truck in a hotel parking lot on March 9th, with authorities ruling his death as self-inflicted. The grim discovery came just a day before he was scheduled to face further questioning from Boeing's legal team, who claimed that under intense pressure to meet deadlines, workers deliberately installed substandard parts.
We also have protesters shutting down the red carpet at the Oscars.
There's something oddly satisfying watching all these celebrities walk past these people who are actively yelling at them when they're used to showing up at these events and getting nothing but praise and cameras pointed at them, and now they're getting screamed at. It just makes me feel good. I'm not going to comment on the Israel stuff, but I will say the Boeing dude's death is looking super suspect.
Figure AI, a humanoid robot company that has partnered with OpenAI, has released a new video of its robot using GPT vision. Check this out. It's creepy.
Hey, Figure One, what do you see right now?
I see a red apple on a plate in the center of the table, a drying rack with cups and a plate, and you standing nearby with your hand on the table.
Great, can I have something to eat?
Boys.
Sure thing.
Great. Can you explain why you did what you just did while you pick up this trash?
On it. So I gave you the apple because it's the only edible item I could provide you with from the table.
Great. So, based on the scene right now, where do you think the dishes in front of you go next?
The dishes on the table, like that plate and cup, are likely to go into the drying rack next.
Great. Can you put them there?
Of course.
All right, so how do you think you did?
I think I did pretty well. The apple found its new owner, the trash is gone, and the tableware is right where it belongs.
I agree. Thanks, Figure One.
You're welcome. If there's anything else you need help with, just let me know.
What do you think? That's pretty crazy. I'll do another video covering the figure robot and the specs of the robot they're producing, so like and follow.
Something like that, I wouldn't mind having a robot made, as long as the thing couldn't run faster than me, I guess. Couldn't overpower me. I do think they picked a very soothing voice for that robot. If you're going to have something that's designed to be in people's homes and stuff, that's a very non-threatening voice. So they did good on the design as far as that goes. That's amazing to see how far technology's coming. But I prefer this type of robot over the ones that they try to make look human. I think those are the ones that I wouldn't want one of those.
In 2009, a boy named Falcon Heaney snuck into his father's homemade flying saucer right before liftoff. The father, Richard Heaney, was unaware that his son was inside the balloon, and upon takeoff of his DIY saucer, he realized that he had forgotten to tether it to the ground.
Are you in? Tether! Get out! Tether now! Are you mad?
At this point, Richard had not yet assumed that his son was inside the balloon, only that the tether was untied. While initially frustrated to lose his aircraft, this was nothing compared to the devastation he would feel once he realized that he was now also at risk of losing his son.
So we are sure that he's in that.
Yeah, we looked everywhere, and my son just said, be terrified. He said, yeah, he went inside just before it went off, because we had it tethered. It wasn't supposed to take off.
They sent a UH-60 Blackhawk and an OH-58 Kiowa to track down the saucer. It drifted for roughly 60 miles before landing 2 hours later. However, upon its landing, the boy was nowhere to be found. Concerns were raised about the possibility of the boy falling out of the saucer after a sheriff reported that he had spotted something dropping from the aircraft shortly before. A search and rescue crew followed the path of the balloon, searching for any evidence of the boy or debris, with no success. But then, in a shocking turn of events, a couple hours after the landing, the news reported that the boy had been hiding in a cardboard box in the attic the entire time. Many thought that this was the end of this intense and chaotic story. However, when the family was interviewed later on, this happened.
And when Falcon was asked why he hid, the little boy said this.
We did this for the show.
What did he mean, we did this for the show?
I have no idea.
In the end, the Heaney parents both pleaded guilty to the charges against them for the hoax.
The way that this is put together was very misleading, because that boy was hiding the entire time, and the father planned it. The mother was in on it as well. I remember watching this on the news live when it was going on. I was really young, but I remember talking about for hours that this boy might die, and they're going to catch it live on TV, and they're preparing to turn the cameras at the last second and stuff like that, just in case. So it was like a big deal. This dude, I don't know, I can't remember if he served prison time or what, but he needed to. Hey, if you're enjoying this video and you like this kind of content, I make a new one just like it every single day. It would be awesome if you'd hit that subscribe button and come back tomorrow to join me.
Modern science wants you to believe that this is Earth's shadow coming in, doing a turn, and leaving this way. But ancient Hindu cosmology talks about Rahu and Ketu, which aren't actually planets, but balls of energy that interfere with celestial bodies as they pass over them, which actually sounds a lot like dark celestial bodies in modern science, or black holes, or dark matter. In Hindu cosmology, Rahu and Ketu is what causes our lunar and solar eclipses, which the story sounds a lot like the mystery of dark bodies we have today. I found this article on dark stars, which have similar properties of black holes. You can't actually see the star, but you can see when it passes over light. But this makes me think they know exactly what these dark stars are, as you see, acting like a stellar youth serum. What's crazy is Rahu and Ketu came from this entity who got cut in half after taking some Amrita and becoming immortal, and then became Rahu and Ketu. Amrita is an elixir, a potion, a youth serum. And look what I found in this article of the dark stars. Read this. Acting like a stellar youth serum. So do they know what's going on? Is the study of dark celestial bodies and dark matter really the study of Rahu and Ketu? I've watched Globers try to steelman the Selenilian eclipse, which is called the impossible eclipse because it's when the sun and the moon both are above Earth's horizon. They try to say that really the sun is down here, but it just looks like it's up here like a mirage. But how is an illusion casting light onto the Earth? I don't know. This is their explanation. Or this is their explanation. They say that you're actually 5,000 feet tall and you can really see. Look, if the Earth and Moon are just above Earth's horizon, There's no way to cast a shadow onto the moon. I want to thank Angel of Light for the awesome lunar eclipse footage, and thank David Shane for showing me who Rahu and Ketu was. It set me on this path, finding all these links. Wow.
All right, I'm going to show my stupidity here. I put this in here because I've watched this clip 3 or 4 times and I cannot grasp what his concept is of what he's explaining is the reason that these shadows appear so weirdly on the moon when the moon's going through its phases and stuff. So I was hoping that someone down in the comments or maybe over at the Discord could let me know, because I'm wildly curious about this and just can't seem to grasp it.
The color blue was never written down.
Weird.
Like in the Bible and like all this, like blue was never a word.
Weird.
And they would always describe...
They didn't have a word for that color?
No. And so, but like when they would describe like the ocean and stuff like that, they would describe it as like green.
What?
And yeah. And so the theory is, if you can't connect a word with a color, can you not see that color? Because your brain, and so they did an experiment in this tribe, and they also have never heard the word blue. And so they gave this graph, and it's this graph of like 12 squares, and they're all green, right? And then there's one that's like a bluish green, and they had these people look at it, and they were staring at it, and it took them so long to figure out which color, because they don't know what to look for in the blue. It was weird. And then they showed another one, and it was all green, and then there was one square that was just like a shade lighter of a green, but it was hard for us to see, and they could spot it instantly.
Wow.
Because they have like over 30 words for green.
Oh my gosh.
Your brain is tricky.
This makes me think of the cones that we have in our eyes. And I'm going to butcher this because I'm not very smart whenever it comes to biology and stuff. But if my memory is correct, we have like 3 cones in our eyes. And those cones are for 3 primary colors, which we then blend between those 3 cones to create all of the colors that we're able to see. There are some animals that have more cones than we do, so there potentially are more primary colors that we can't see, and that's fascinating.
Your phone is always listening, but your phone's also a snitch. All of you are going to feel far more sane when I explain to you how Bluetooth technology is actually interfering with your daily life. How many of you have gone to Target and maybe stared at the 70-inch TV for a minute too long, and then you go home later that day, you pop on the grams, and suddenly there it is, 70-inch TV. You're like, it's meant to be, right? Like, how did they know to give me that targeted advertisement, right? Well, the truth is that in Target, there are these little Bluetooth low energy beacons, and they are listening and they are receiving it. So your Bluetooth has a unique identifier. Later, Target's going to go through data brokers and figure out who that is, and that's how they're going to figure out how to target you later. But that's how you start to get those targeted advertisements.
I was not aware of this. I knew our phones were always listening, but I didn't know it went this deep. That's insane. All right, this is just speculation here, but to me, that looks like straight lines, like a laser went through and zzz, zzz, and started those fires. That's what that looks like. How do fires, fires should spread. They should be everywhere. It should be huge areas engulfed in flames, and it's just straight lines over and over and over again. That's suspicious looking.
Have you heard of the Russian scientist who injected himself with a 3.5 million year old bacteria?
For fun? On a dare?
For science.
Oh, okay, good.
So this Russian scientist named Dr. Anatoly Brachkov, I don't know how to say his name. Brachkov.
Yeah.
He was in the tundra. They're digging in the permafrost in the tundra.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they discovered this bacteria that was so far down in the permafrost, it like went past like the woolly mammoths.
Oh no.
But they tested this bacteria on mice, on plants, and the mice and plants lived way longer, and the crops
Oh wow.
thrive, like they didn't die as fast when it was cold outside. So what's happening? But they're calling it the elixir of life. They're saying that this thing could contribute to people, animals, and plants all living longer than they should.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
In fact, there's a town pretty close to where they found this bacteria, and the people of this town in Siberia live like way longer than all the other people in the region. He was basically like, well, I want to try it on myself.
He's still alive?
Still alive. And he said he hadn't had a cold or flu in 2 years since injecting himself. That is like a bacteria from like first days of creation. That's what made people live so long.
You taking that bacteria if that's the case?
No.
I would take it. Maybe it could help me not pee so much.
Is this the Amrita, that youth serum that the other dude was just talking about a couple clips back? Yeah, there's no way I would inject myself with something like that, but it's fascinating to hear that deep in the frost, below the level that they were collecting the remains of woolly mammoths, they actually found this bacteria that would have been around back in probably biblical times whenever people were living to be 700, 800, 900 years old. So maybe that bacteria does have something to do with it.
The moon is not a piece of rock. It is plasma.
One thing, you have a theory about the moon, and we expect to be able to get observable facts about the moon fairly soon. What is your theory?
Well, it is by now rather more than a theory. 10 or 11 years ago, I stated to various scientists that the moon is not a piece of rock, but it is plasma phenomena, cosmic plasma, and that this fact will eventually be confirmed. I made certain predictions which were already confirmed in 1958, and the situation now is coming close to a complete confirmation.
What will be the result if you're proved to be correct in your theory?
The result will be profound and decisive, because it will give proof that a complete reinvestigation of the laws of nature is necessary. Because if the moon is a plasma, no man will ever land on it. The soft landing attempts will all fail. That means that the mass of the moon is far less than is currently assumed. It's in a different state of energy, and it has far less mass. That means there is no more explanation for the tides. If the moon, for example, had only 1,000th part of its current mass, then the tides would only be 2 inches high under conventional theories instead of sometimes 14 feet. And that means that if it is proved that the moon is a plasma, then all gravitational theories are out, and the new concept of the cosmos and of its laws has to be evolved.
4 years later,
So we found out in yesterday's video that there are actually native tribes with tales of the Earth existing before the presence of a moon. And in those descriptions of what the Earth was like before the moon was present, they talk about there being no tides and the Earth being covered with a thick dew. Somehow the moon, I think, is having an effect on our oceans and stuff and creating the tides and everything. That does make sense to me. I'll never make it to the moon and find out what it is. It would be interesting to find out that the moon was plasma, because then what would be the explanation for the tides?
Okay, hands down, coolest thing I've seen in a while. This is David Shane. Look at this weird little ring. This is a real photograph he took with his real telescope, and you tell me what you see. I'm getting a little freaked out. It's almost one of those questions that you don't really want to know the answer to. But this is why I love David Shane. He's straightforward. He's a real astronomer. He's not full of CGI and a bunch of presuppositions. He's just going to take his new telescope, take some photographs and some videos, and show you. He's got a whole channel full of it. Make sure you follow David Shane. And when I say almost don't want to know the answer to that question, it's because I think of the Hunger Games, when Katniss shoots the arrow up into the sky and it goes whoosh, and boom, hits the sky, and it's all of a sudden glitching out. I've done videos before on simulation theory, but for those simulation guys, I mean, this is pretty good evidence.
I'm going to say that's probably some sort of a lens distortion or something that's creating that effect. And it could just simply be the way that the light's emitting off that star, that it's creating some sort of a fractal pattern that looks like a grid. But I definitely think it's within the realm of possibility that we're living in a simulation, especially with as advanced as technology is getting right now. All the advancements that we're having in VR and AR and stuff like that. It won't be long before you look at some, just get on YouTube and look up some of the demo stuff from Unreal Engine 5. It looks like real life. Like they're able to make things look like real life right now. I think we just don't have the processing power to put it in a headset or something that's wearable that you could completely get lost into.
You know what the craziest, most frustrating part of becoming an adult is? That nobody ever really talks about.
It has been proven that the human brain cannot distinguish between something that has actually happened and something that's being imagined. It does not know the difference, and we don't talk about this enough. This means that if you're constantly thinking about being sick, worrying about your health, and perpetuating fear into your own life, you're actually making your body go through the physical experience of it. And the crazy part is this can actually cause disease progression within the body. Our bodies believe what our minds tell us. So it's incredibly important that we choose our words wisely. Choose what we think about every single day. Make sure it's positive, make sure it's healthy, and make sure it's something that we actually want. Without actual proof of something wrong, you shouldn't be thinking it. Choose your thoughts and choose your words wisely. I hope this helps.
So there is a really good book. I cannot remember the name of it, but it will be easy for you to find. It's Tony Robbins' book, and it's on neurolinguistic programming. And it's a really good read. And there's a lot of really cool examples in there of this exact type stuff, and it proves that this stuff works. He actually talks about increasing the three-point average for professional basketball players. They hired him to go in and train them, and what he did was he went in and he had them picture themselves shooting a three-point and making it nothing but net over and over and over, and he made them picture it so many times in their head that it was like they had done it, because it's the same as actually doing it, as achieving it. So they made so many three-pointers in their mind that whenever they actually grabbed the ball and made them for real, they're actually hitting, on average, significantly more three-point shots. He's also got examples of doing something similar with the military, with the snipers. There's some fascinating case studies in there, but it's a really good book, and it follows this exactly. I highly suggest everybody check it out.
Something is about to happen in America that hasn't happened in 221 years. Experts are now predicting that billions of insects will burst from out of the ground and cover roads, trees, and sidewalks in an event that hasn't happened since 1803. Guess we'll find that. Now, the insects in question are cicadas, which have red eyes, are pretty large, and are known for their unique screaming sound. Now granted, cicadas appear every year, but this year's bloody biblical level awakening will not see just one, but two broods coming up at the same time. And why it's so rare is that one of them comes up every 13 years, and the other every 17. So for them to link up and tag team the US at the same time, it sounds like frickin' Moses is in town. These are gonna be the states worst affected, so get your flamethrowers ready. And they're predicted to emerge in May and June. So the question is, billions of cicadas, or double it and give it to Canada?
All right, that's going to be annoying and aggravating as crap, but it's not the end of the world. It's not something that's going to wipe out all of our crops and stuff, so nothing to fear.
Guys, it gets more and more concerning by the minute. Have a look at this. It's literally the same hairstyle, same everything. I know a lot of you were really skeptical when I brought you this photo, which I thought the Vogue cover and the photo that was produced was the same. You guys, now it's just getting downright creepy. It's the exact same hairstyle, same jewelry, everything. I am not gonna rest until I see a video and a public appearance. Where is Kate? We just want to know that she's okay. It comes from a place of love, a place of care, but at the moment, I'm really not so sure. Everything is dodgy as. Here's a few things. The abdominal surgery was planned, yet a number of prearranged commitments had to be cancelled. Prince William has only visited her once in almost 3 months. Zero visits from her parents or sister, and reports have emerged that Prince William has a short and violent temper. Now, the last bit I'm not so sure about. I think Prince William is fine. There's a little bit about Prince William's alleged affair and the media blackout from the palace on Kate's recovery. Just want to see her do one walk. I want to see a video and a public appearance. Am I asking for too much? As always, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below.
So I don't really care about the royal family, but I do like a good missing persons case. And that's why I keep covering this, because it's looking like this lady passed and they're trying to hide it from the public eye. We'll keep digging on this channel until we find out some more information and find out what the actual truth is, but I have a feeling there's going to be some bad news about her coming out pretty soon.
Oh my gosh. So I've been diving into why does everybody want to ban TikTok all of a sudden? Why does it have everybody unified in Congress? I saw this TikTok where it shows just how much money all of these senators get from pro-Israel lobbying. What does that have to do with it? Well, there's some leaked audio from the CEO of the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, that fights against anti-Semitism, hate speech against Jews, different things like that. You might know the ADL because Elon Musk has been fighting with them, but listen.
We have a major generational problem. All the polling I've seen, ADL's polling, ICC's polling, independent polling, suggests this is not a left-right gap, folks. The issue in the United States in support for Israel is not left and right. It is young and old. And the numbers of young people who think that Hamas's, massacre was justified is shockingly and terrifyingly high. And so we really have a TikTok problem, a Gen Z problem, that our community needs to put the same brains that gave us Taglit, the same brains that gave us all these other amazing innovations, need to put our energy towards this, like, fast. Because again, like, we've been chasing this left-right divide. It's the wrong game. The real game is the next generation, and the Hamas and their accomplices, the useful idiots in the West, are falling in line in ways that are terrifying. Lastly, I'll just say, we saw a dramatic change in the language of the activists here in America on October the 8th. The language of groups that we've long tracked, who've long been problematic, like Students for Justice in Palestine and Jewish Voices for Peace.
The fact that he talks about Jewish Voices for Peace as a problematic group, I think shows what their incentives are. But what if the TikTok ban is all about because people are calling out the system for its bullshit? Like, it kind of makes sense.
All right, there's a lot to unpack here. I don't want to comment on the Israel stuff because I don't want to lose my channel. And honestly, I don't have a big opinion on it. I don't know enough about it to have an opinion on it. But what this makes me think of when he says that they're tracking certain groups, they're just some organization. What business do they have tracking anyone and keeping an eye out for anything? Man, I really want to be careful here because I like this YouTube channel and I'd like to hang on to it. I'll say this makes me think about Kanye West. You look at the desperation and the effort that they're putting into trying to solve what they see as a big problem just in how they're being viewed, this ADL. And then think about everything that he said about what efforts they go through to control him. And it starts to make a little more sense. But I'm going to stop right there. That's the end of our clips today. I'm going to go ahead and end it right there. I hope you enjoyed these clips we watched together today. I'm enjoying mixing things up and throwing some different type of stuff in there. I'm hoping you're enjoying it as well. I hope you come back to see me again tomorrow. I'll have another video up for you like always. I hope you have a great, safe, fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you tomorrow.